our grip, super important in golf. It's something that's often very overlooked in our setup, but we need to understand why it's important and what effect it has on the ball. So let's talk about our grip position. Now, it has the most influence on where the club face points at impact. All right, so just remember that. The most influence on where the club face points at impact. So that means if the ball keeps going out to the right because we have an open club face, it can be just down to where our grip is positioned. So we've got to make sure we've got it in the right place for your ball flight. So let's talk about it. So, as a right-handed golfer, I'm going to do this my way round, but you've just got to use the opposite for a lefty. So as a new golfer, we want to start off with a neutral grip position. So what on earth does neutral grip position mean? Well, as we put our first hand on, which is going to be your left hand, what we are looking for is we are looking to get the left hand over slightly this way towards our right leg. So I'm looking to be able to see 2 knuckles on my left hand as I'm looking straight down at the club. I shouldn't have to rotate my head round here to try and find those knuckles, all right? They should be sat on top, 1, 2, sitting there pretty, all right? And I've got this crease between my thumb here and my fingers, and that's pointing up at my back shoulder, my right shoulder. Once I've got my left hand in that position, it's all about now bringing my right hand in. Now, of course, golf can be a little bit complicated and we like to make things tricky. So how you now bring your right hand in, there's a couple of different ways to do it. So the first way we can do it is more baseball grip style. Okay, so I'm just going to have all 4 fingers on my right hand. I'm going to bring them nice and close together and I'm going to slide them up until they meet my left hand. All right. Once I've got my fingers meeting there, I'm going to wrap my hand over the top of my left thumb, tucking my fingers in here, and again, I'm looking for this crease, this time, on my right hand to run up my back arm, and it points up towards my right shoulder. So once I've got my right hand in there, we should have both creases pointing up to this area of your body. I should be able to see 2 knuckles on my left hand, and I shouldn't be able to see my left thumb at all. So that's a neutral grip position. So if you don't fancy doing baseball grip, which is fine, we can move, we can do something slightly different. We can actually go to an interlocking grip. So this is the grip used by Tiger Woods, by Jack Nicklaus, some of the best players obviously in the world. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. So I personally use this grip. So what I do here is I now use my index finger on my left hand, my pinky on my right, and I'm going to hook these 2 together. From this side, I've got the same feeling, so my other 3 fingers are all on that grip. Wrap this right hand over the top of that thumb, and again, right crease up to my right shoulder. And again, if things weren't more complicated, you've then got an overlap grip. So rather than this time interlocking these 2 fingers, what we do is we keep the index finger of your left hand on the grip, we take our pinky on our right hand, we slot that in the gap between these 2 fingers, bring the other ones in, and then again, we're wrapping this right hand over the top. So again, points up to the right shoulder. Personally, I struggle with this grip a little bit. My hands are quite small. All right, it feels like it's pulling on my pinky a little bit too much. I just find it uncomfortable. I don't particularly like it. My personal preference, I like an interlock, or for a lot of beginner golfers, I'll just get them to go with a standard kind of baseball grip in here. It just gives them a little bit more control, and if it feels comfortable, hey, just go with it. I've had friends in the past, some PGA pros, who used to have baseball grips. There's nothing wrong with it, so it can work for any of us. So now that we understand what a neutral grip looks like, all right, so a neutral grip, hopefully by the time we come into impact, it's going to make our club face nice and square at impact, all right? That's not always the case, okay? So we need to understand what we can do with our grip position to help us hit the ball straighter. Now, what happens a lot of the time for players is they get their hands confused. So they'll often have what is called a weak left hand position, where it's rotated round too much towards their left leg, as in can't see any knuckles. And then they have a right hand position that's too strong. They have their right hand underneath too much, really strong position, and it's rotated round towards my right leg. All of a sudden, this position's around here. So you've now got a right hand that wants to do this, and a left hand that wants to do this, and before you know it, you've got a right and a left miss because your grip position is in the wrong place. So make sure, start from neutral, find out where the ball flight goes. If your ball has a tendency, as a right-handed golfer, to go too much out to the right-hand side of the golf course, what we want to do is we want to make our grip position stronger. So what that means for you is you are going to rotate left hand over the top of the grip a little bit more towards your right leg, and you're going to start to see maybe 3 or even 4 knuckles. Dustin Johnson, former world #1, has a 4-knuckle grip. So it's cool. If you want to go with that, go with it, if it helps you hit the ball straight. So we rotate our left hand over towards our right leg. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate our right hand underneath a little bit more. So it matches up with where that left hand is positioned. So you can see now how these creases, they're pointing off out past my right shoulder, all right, but they're both going in the same direction. And that position now is a strong, strong grip position. So what that should help as I come into impact is closing the club face, help me hit it straighter. Also really good when you get a little bit more advanced and you want to try and hit a big hook, all right? But say, get that left hand over the top and right hand underneath for a stronger grip, helps hit the ball more left. Now, if you're somebody who can't stop, let's say, hooking the ball or pulling the ball round to the left too much, all right, you might even fancy a bit of a weaker grip. So Jordan Spieth has actually a little bit of a weaker grip position. So again, there's no right or wrong, it's just right for you. So a weaker grip position for you might be that we're going to actually rotate our left hand back round towards my left leg. All right, so now my thumb is a little bit more flat down on top, and I can only just see this first knuckle, just about see this first knuckle. As I then bring my right hand in, I'm going to bring this hand over the top more, so it's a bit more on top of the club. All right, and I'm now going to get this crease maybe pointing roughly up towards my chin, up to this area here. So now, as I come into impact, rather than it being shut, now it's gonna feel like it's gonna be ever so slightly open, all right? But again, this could hopefully just mean for you and your swing that it's gonna hit the ball straighter. All right, it's not gonna necessarily hit the ball miles right, it's just gonna hit the ball straighter. So what you need to understand is what your common ball flight miss is, so whether it be more to the left, more to the right, and then you try and match up your grip position depending on what that is. Hope that all makes sense.